All right, and we're back. Mrs. George Bailey, Mrs. Bailey,
Yes.
Miss George, Mrs. Bailey. I got to get that right. Got to get it right. Mrs. Bailey. All right, so you were telling us a little bit about your background and how you got into financial planning, and you were talking with this very successful financial planner. Was it because you were broke as a college student? A lot of college students complain about not having enough money. You got to thinking, okay, how am I going to fix this?
That was certainly a part of it.
Right.
I also think that generationally, and particularly in our community, there are a lot of things around financial matters that we're not taught, and so this is a great opportunity for me to not only learn and teach others, but really to become my own client.
Right.
And start preparing myself and making my own foundational, a financial foundation for myself.
Okay. So when you said you became your own client, I like that. So with that, as you're learning, you're able to teach others. And I think that's the best way of knowing if you really know something, when you can teach it to somebody else. And I also believe that if you are passionate about it, which I believe this is your passion, you won't have a problem, or you won't make people feel inadequate or inferior when they come to you with their questions that they don't have the answers to, because when they're still learning. Because I told you earlier, before we got started, there's some things that I'm learning that I'm trying to correct, and so we may have to talk offline about some stuff. Okay, so those of you watching at home, pay attention now, because she's going to say some things. So with your company, Melissa L. George and Associates, what are some of the different types of services that you offer?
Okay, well, we offer services at a couple of different levels. We start out with what I call from the simple, which may be with an individual or a couple. It could be something as simple as cash flow, debt cancellation, budgeting, things of that nature. Because a lot of times people want to jump right into the investing arena, but they're not prepared for that. They don't have enough savings. They're laden down with debt. It could be college loans, it could be credit cards. So we want to make sure that we kind of start cleaning some of those things up first, so we can actually find some disposable income, so that we can start investing and start preparing for the future. So that's what we do as far as individuals and couples. Those that have an entrepreneurial spirit and they decide they want to go out and start a business. One of the things that is always a challenge for businesses is attracting and retaining employees, and that's generally because of benefits. So, starting out, a business owner may not have the resources to provide health insurance, dental, vision, a retirement plan, things of that nature. So we have some really unique products and services that we can provide. We can also start them out with voluntary benefits, which don't cost the employer anything. So as long as they have a payroll system, they can start out with a menu of benefits that can help them attract and retain some employees. And then as that company continues to grow, then we can add on the health insurance plan, the retirement plan. So we do that as well. And then lastly, as a minority certified business, I do operate in local and county governments, and I provide benefits to several of the local counties and city governments.
Okay. So you mentioned something called disposable income.
Yes.
And for those people watching who may not know what that is, they may not have heard that, never heard that term before.
Yes.
Can you sort of explain to them what disposable income is?
Very simply, disposable income is what is left over after you've paid all of your expenses. And very often we find that people are not as efficient with their spending. I'll give you an example. Years ago, many years ago, I know I'm dating myself, we used to have a checkbook and a register.
Okay, right.
And we would write down when we wrote a check, and we would know how much money was left in the bank.
Right.
But since now we have debit cards and Cash App and Venmo and PayPal and all
Right.
these kinds of things, people don't write that down. And so what happens is, and I see this a lot, people will get paid and they'll pay their major expenses, and after that, they'll continue to swipe that debit card until there's nothing left. So they may not realize that they have disposable income because that money is not earmarked for anything. And so part of that, determining what is disposable, meaning after all of my necessary obligations are paid, what is left over for retirement? What is left over for savings? What is left over for maybe those large purchases that I want? Maybe that's a down payment on a home. maybe it's a vacation, maybe it's money that I'm putting aside for college. So sometimes we have to look at what a client thinks their disposable income, but after we do a cash flow analysis and we kind of really look at the numbers, we can tell exactly what should be left over, and we can find inefficiencies in their budget.
So, with that being said, I'm sure it's easier for someone who is working a full-time job versus somebody working part-time to have an adequate amount of disposable income, you think?
I would like to say it's all relative. I've been in this business long enough so that I would not make any general statement like that for
Okay.
everyone. Every case is unique. Someone that is working part-time may have more disposable than someone that's full-time because maybe they're single, maybe they don't have children,
Okay.
maybe they're living at home.
That makes a
It
difference.
depends on what their expenses are, so I don't like to make that blanket statement.
Okay.
But regardless of what situation that they're in, we do look at each person on a case-by-case basis and try to get them positioned in the best place so that they can start putting some money away and start realizing their financial goals, whatever those goals may be.
Okay. Well, let me speak from a perspective of a lot of the people that I know, because I'm a former welfare recipient. So I wanted to ask, what advice would you give to a single mother on welfare who's unemployed, but she really wants to learn how to become financially independent, how to start saving, but she's on this fixed income where she's only getting $235 a month? Is there any advice that you could give to someone with that being their only income as it relates to trying to start saving?
Yeah, there are a couple of things that I would suggest. If it's someone that, first of all, is looking for additional financial knowledge, with the internet, there's all kinds of tools that are available as far as us trying to educate ourselves as it relates to finances. And if it's someone doesn't have a computer, obviously, you have computers at the library. There's, free resources that are available if you're just trying to get additional information. Very often there are free workshops that are available where people can, there's free online courses. There's all kinds of information that's out there as far as educating yourself, particularly for someone that's in that type of situation. But what I would say, whether someone is a welfare recipient or whether someone is making $100,000 a year or more, and again, I'll use this term, and it's all relative. It's relative to your expenses. So if someone is bringing in a very small amount of money, they have to make the best use of those dollars.
Right.
And sometimes seeking out some advice. You may be surprised. There are people, financial planners such as myself, that are often willing to provide some free time, and I do provide a free consultation for everyone, regardless of their scenario, to kind of put them on the right track. And give them some ideas, some resources that are available to help them. But again, it's all going to come down to expenses. I also wanted to mention that some other ethnic groups that I've actually seen, and we could probably get into a whole nother conversation about that.
Okay.
I've seen them do a lot with very little as it relates to educating their children and providing. It's all about priorities. So, they usually say where your priorities are, that's where your money goes. So, and then of course, for that mother that's on welfare, I don't really know of anyone that's in that scenario that wants to stay in that scenario. It's a place to be just for a moment. It's a stepping stone. So, as far as that person becoming more gainfully employed, and once there's additional income, then there's additional resources to move to the next level. So I would just try to encourage that person and provide them with as much information as I could about where you are right now, and then let's really start having a hard conversation about where you want to be and what it's going to take to get there.
Right. And it sounds like the word discipline is going to be very, very important in that conversation.
Yes.
Because a person would definitely have to be disciplined to get to that next level.
Yes.
Y'all, I'm dealing with discipline right now. I really, really am. And it's hard. But anything worth having is worth working hard for. Yes, it is. So we're going to work on this thing together, okay? But my next question, I went on your website, and I noticed that you have a glossary on your website. And for those of you that don't know what a glossary is, if you look in a book or something in the beginning or in the back of the book, it's going to have a lot of words with a lot of definitions telling you what those words mean. And I was like, have I seen a glossary on other websites before? And I thought that was so awesome. I said, because there were some terms on there that I didn't know what they meant. So why was it important for you to have a glossary on your website?
Well, I'll share this, and I use this analogy all the time. If someone goes to the doctor for the very first time, they have no problem taking off their clothes to the stranger. But if you ask somebody about their finances, very often people are embarrassed. They feel like they don't know enough.
Right.
And so having that glossary there is just another way for them to start educating themselves about some terms that they may not be familiar with. There are terms that people are using every day, and people don't know what they mean. So very often when I'm meeting with clients, I try to handle that meeting in such a way that I'm not embarrassing them, and I could just tell them, say, we could just be talking about the S&P 500, and I would just maybe ask, do you know what a mutual fund is? And I want them to feel comfortable enough to say, you know what, I hear that all the time. I have no idea what a mutual fund is. And then we'll start talking about what it actually is.
Right.
So to that point, the glossary is available as well as many other resources that are on my website, because I want people to be informed. And if they won't do it in public, they can do it in the privacy of their home, and they can go to that website and start looking up some of those terms,
right,
and becoming more familiar with them.
Exactly. I did that. I read some on your website. I sure did. And I also noticed that you have a lot of stock market information on there. Now, Lord knows, people been hearing about the stock market for a long time, but I don't know if people actually understand what the stock market is, what it does, how it affects people. So can you sort of expound a little bit on that?
Well, I will share this first. I do have, people can check a stock price on the front page of my website, and I also have some market indexes. And you might say, well, what is a market index?
I was going to say just that.
So there's quite a few of the more popular market indexes are on my website, like the S&P, the Dow, the NASDAQ. And of course, we won't spend a lot of time talking about these, but what a market index is it basically tells you about the health of the financial markets. Okay. A lot of times you hear people talk about the S&P 500. That is probably the most popular index that's available. So when you hear that it's going up or it's going down, or people talk about the Dow hitting a certain number, without going into a lot of detail right now, it's about the health of the financial market.
Okay.
So I have those major indexes are right there on my website, and there's also a box there where people can put in any ticker symbol for any stock, and they can see what the stock price is. Now, of course, you can do that on Google as well.
Okay.
But I like to have a couple of those indexes available right there on the front of my website.
All right, fantastic. I like how you put that, the health of the financial market.
Yes.
How good it's doing, or how bad it's doing.
Yes.
That's so well put. So easy to understand. And I think for a lot of people, when it comes to finances, because people use so many big words all the time, and everybody doesn't understand those words.
Yes.
So we want to make it as plain and as simple and as easy for everybody to understand, because understanding helps you to want to know more, and then as you're learning more, you're wanting to do better. So I thank you for that. So what we're going to do now is take a quick break, and during this break I'm going to talk a little bit with Mrs. Bailey, and we'll be right back. Stay tuned.
Where she'll be keeping you in the know. Tune in every Thursday at 5 p.m. Watch us on waen-tv.com or Facebook Live /Studio 21 Media. To be a guest on the show, a member of the live studio audience, promote your product or services, contact Quintasha at 454-9347. On the Q-Tip with Miss Quinn, where she'll be keeping you in the know. Tune in every Thursday at 5 p.m. Watch us on waen-tv.com or Facebook Live /Studio 21 Media. To be a guest on the show, a member of the live studio audience, promote your product or services, contact Quintasha at 404-454-9347.
With Mrs. Bailey, and she has given us a lot of good information. For those of you who don't know what a market index is, I know. It's the health of the financial market. Lets you know how well it's doing or how bad it's doing. Learn something new every day, every single day. All right, so again, as I was on your website, I noticed something called a generational vault. I just like that term. I do. I like that term. And it sounds like it keep something safe.
Yes.
So can you tell us a little bit about what that is and how it works?
Yes. This is something I'm really, really proud of. So Generational Vault is an online safe, if you will.
Okay.
It houses all types of information. It can house your legal documents. It can house important your life insurance policies, important photos, bank statements. If you just think about it as like a safe that you would have in your home, but this is an online one, it has very high level of encryption, and it allows you to access that information from anywhere in the world. I'll give you an example. This is an example that as has actually happened. There's a husband and wife that had their legal documents in the Generational Vault. They were traveling, so they were out of town. Their daughter lived in another state, their son lived in another state, and the husband had a heart attack.
Wow.
And so at the hospital, they were asking, did he have a living will? Which he did have in place, but they were out of state, so they couldn't go put their hands on it. The kids couldn't put their hands on it, but the fact that it was in the Generational Vault, it could be accessed from wherever they were, and very easily to retrieve. So it's the type of thing that no matter where you are in the world, you can, whatever type of important information that you have can be housed there. I also like to think of it as kind of your backup plan to your hard copy documents. Let's say you had a flood or a fire. It's very difficult to retrieve those documents after they've been lost. And sometimes if you leave them on your hard drive, or what if your computer is left in the house as well? So it really is just an online safe with a very high encryption to keep your information safe that you can access from anywhere.
Okay, I like that. I like the idea of that. You said it has high levels of encryption. Have there ever been any instances where something did get into the wrong hands as it relates to a generational vault? Because people would want to know that, and I'm sure when they come and meet with you, that may be a question that they ask.
Well, there has not been a breach of the Generational Vault to date. But, the world that we're living in right now, with the breaches and all of that, I would definitely say that nothing is 100% guaranteed.
Absolutely.
If somebody wants that information enough, I believe that
they're going to do whatever they can to get it.
I'm very happy to say that to this date, nothing has been exposed.
Okay. Well, that's fantastic. Yeah. And I noticed when I mentioned Generational Vault and you said it was something you were very proud of, your face lit up when you said that. I don't know if you noticed, but you smiled and your face just glowed. So that must be a really, really special program or part of the services that you offer.
Well, it is something that, I really don't know of any other advisor. I'm sure there's some in some maybe some other places of the country, but within the circles that I'm in, I don't know of other advisors or planners that provide that type of service.
Okay.
The other thing that's really neat about it is there's a section of that Generational Vault that I share with my clients. So, when I'm about to do a review, if I have client statements, I can push those directly to the vault.
Okay.
And we can actually share that portion of the vault between them. They may need to upload something or provide something to me, and the size of that document is very, very large. They actually can put it in the vault, and I can retrieve it from there. And then, of course, they have a section of the vault that's completely private that I have no access to. So
Okay.
I just think it is a value-added service of clients of mine, and I think it's something that just has tremendous value. And again, it's something that can be passed on to the next generation.
Absolutely.
And to the next generation.
And it's easily accessible.
Yes.
So how did you know to add this? I mean, because you just said that not a lot of people in your circle have it that you know of. And so how did it get into your mind, or what made you want to have a generational vault, an online vault?
Well, the security of documents and personally identifiable information is really important, not just to me as a person, but in my industry as well. I go through a tremendous amount of safeguards to make
Okay.
sure that my clients' documents are safe. We're dealing with dates of birth and social security numbers.
Right.
But one of my strategic partners is actually provides the generational vault.
Okay.
And once I was exposed to it, I knew that was something that I needed to provide for my clients.
Okay.
And so I've been doing that for the past couple of years.
Okay. Fantastic. Now I'm going to ask you a little bit about some young people. Do you offer any programs or workshops to young people to sort of help get them excited about starting to think about their financial futures? Do you do that? Because if so, I got some children I need to sign up.
Occasionally. Obviously, I spend a lot more time with people that are maybe 5 to 10 years from retirement.
Okay.
I do spend a good amount of time with people that are kind of just getting to a point in their careers where they have enough disposable income where they can really start socking some money away for retirement.
Okay.
But occasionally I do like to work with young people. One of the challenges with working with young people is if they've not really grown up in a household where savings has been a part of the norm, sometimes it's a challenge to get them to start saving. But once you start showing them how those monies can grow, I think is very, very important, and especially because they have an asset that a lot of us don't have. And the number one asset that we have as it relates to finances is time. When you have a considerable more time, you have the ability to weather the ups and downs of the market and recover. But if you're 5 years away from retirement versus you're 35 years away from retirement,
Right.
the amount of money that you have to put aside, there's a significant difference. So to answer your question, yes, I do provide some workshops and some information for young people from time to time.
Okay. Can you talk a little bit about the reading materials that you have on your website? I noticed a lot of
yes.
those on there.
There is a lot of information on my website. We have there's newsletters that are updated every single month. There is, of course, we already talked about the glossary. There's actually some videos on there. What I like about the videos that are there's about maybe 10 to 12 of them. They're very short. They're what I call a video that you could watch while you're sitting at your desk eating lunch.
Okay.
You could pick up a financial topic and learn about that. There's also a tax library on my website as well. So of course, we are in the last couple of weeks of taxes right here for the first deadline. If someone is looking for a particular tax form, they could probably find it on my website.
Okay.
Lots of other information as it relates to taxes. And then there's another section where there's probably, I would say, maybe close to 100 different topics as it relates to investments, insurance, where they can just pick up one specific topic, and there will be either a calculator about that. Maybe if you're trying to calculate how much money I need to put aside for my child's college education, or for a down payment on a house. So there's a wealth of information on my website that people can access that can help them with just about any topic that they can think of.
Okay. I know you said something about you spend a lot of your time with those people who may be about 5 years away from retiring or something like that. But what type of people should utilize your services? What person?
I would generally say there are two.
Okay.
For the most part. Obviously, there are some exceptions, but if there is someone who is in transition,
Okay.
and what I mean by transition is they've left a job, they are moving on to another job or seeking another job.
Okay.
And to give you an example, decades ago, people would start working at a company and they would work there for 30 years.
That's true.
And then they would get a gold watch and then they would go and retire. That doesn't happen anymore. So what I often find is that because people are working multiple jobs,
Right.
they have multiple retirement plans. They have pensions, they have 401ks, they have IRAs, they have 457s. And sometimes they've left those retirement accounts at a previous employer. And so part of the process is we want to consolidate those assets for a number of reasons. One is it's easier to manage. And in the case of those that have a pension, and I wouldn't be talking about maybe a state pension, but companies that have pensions, which you really don't see those anymore, I always encourage people, unless they've started taking income from that pension, they need to move that. The pension is an asset of the company. That employee never made a contribution to it, and should that company go under, that pension belongs to the company, and creditors can attach that asset. So we generally want to move those monies. So
Wow.
it would so the first answer would be people that are in transition. Secondly, those that are maybe 5 to 10 years from
Okay.
retirement. And this is when people have to really start getting serious about their money. If let's say, for example, they've been a very aggressive investor, meaning that their money is positioned in such a way that when the market produces a very high return, they participate in the high returns.
Okay.
But when the market is down, they also participate in the lows of the market. They have they can lose a lot of money as well. And so as we get closer to retirement age, we need to start to course correct how we're investing our dollars, because we need to make sure when that date hits that we got to make sure that the money is there. So I spend a good amount of time with people that are pre-retirement, trying to make sure that their assets are positioned in such a way so that when they do retire, we also want to take that all that asset base, that bucket of money that they have accumulated over the years, and we want to put together a decumulation strategy. What I mean by that is a strategy for how they're going to spend it so that it lasts as long as they're living. Now, and the reason why I like to spend a lot of time on that, one thing I say that I know for sure is that every single person is either going to live too long or they're going to die too soon. Okay?
That's true.
And so if you die too soon, there's some things that need to be done. Of course, we don't know if that's going to happen. But what if you live too long? What if you live for a very, very long period of time and you run out of money? So that's one of those areas where we have to spend some time, not just saying, okay, I have all this money and I'm going to retire and I'm going to start pulling some money every month for my expenses, but there is a methodology and a strategy that we can put in place to make sure that those monies outlive you.
Right.
And just to add a little bit more to that, if we think about years ago when Social Security first started, the average person would retire age 65 and would die at age 72. That used to be the average. That is no longer the average. So now we're living considerably longer. I know almost every day you can probably find somebody that just turned age 100.
That's right.
And also on top of that, you have people that want to retire sooner. They don't want to work to 65. They don't want to work to 60.
Right.
So let's just say you have someone that wants to retire at age 50 or 55 and they live to 100. They've probably worked for about 30 years and then they want to retire and live for 50 years. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
So there's some work that has to be done in order to make sure that they don't outlive their money.
Right. Right. You make it sound so easy. You're so smart. You're so smart. So now, for those people watching, because you've given us a lot of information in such a short time, so tell us about this. We're talking about money. So what are some of the costs associated with the services that you offer?
Okay, well, I am glad you asked.
Yes.
Well, first of all, I do provide a free consultation. I mentioned that a little bit earlier in the program for a couple of reasons. For one, we need to find out if we're going to have a basis for doing business together. There's a certain amount of rapport that needs to be established. Somebody may not like the way I do things or like my personality, and vice versa for that matter. So I really want someone to come in. I want to explain to them in more detail what I do, how I do it. And then I want to really talk with them about what their goals are. So I want to see if it's a good fit.
Okay.
If it's something that I feel like I can't help them with, I'm not going to sit there and belabor the point and try to charge them for something that I can't actually help them with. So the free consultation is first, and then it's going to just depend on what type of service or product that they need at that time. If someone just needs a product, let's say somebody comes in, I need a life insurance policy. Somebody said, I need health insurance. I need to roll over some money. That's what I would call a product sale. I'm
Okay.
already going to earn a commission from whatever company I use to put that product in place, and with that, there is no fee to the client. So, as an example, when you buy your auto insurance, let's say you have State Farm, Allstate, whoever you have for your auto insurance, you never write a check to the agent.
Progressive.
You have Progressive, okay.
Yeah.
Do you ever write a check to the Progressive agent
I
with their
never-
name on it?
never.
Exactly. So you write your check to Progressive or whatever other provider there is, and the agent earns a commission. It is exactly the same in my
Okay.
field. So there's no charge for that. Now, if someone is asking for services, they need me to do some analysis. We need to do a full comprehensive plan. They need to retain my services. Then in those instances, I do charge a fee. It's not a flat fee. It's based upon complexity and time of their particular situation. So what I do is before any monies are exchanged, I provide a proposal to them. We talk about what my deliverables are to the client. We talk about what I'm going to need from them
Right.
in order to complete the analysis. And we sign an agreement. So we both know who is doing what the expectations are, when it's due, etc. And then we can just, if they're in agreement with that, then we can move forward with how the payment is going to take place.
Real cut and dry. I mean, it's as simple as that. All right. So the free consultation. And then I like the part, and I never thought about this, but no, I've never written a check to Mr. Derrick over at the Progressive office. Never. All right. So that's good to know. That's good to know. So why do you feel that this type of service is needed? Why do you think these services are needed?
Ooh. Well, money is one of those things that if it's mismanaged, people can really find themselves in a bad situation. A lot of people in my industry make the analogy to the Walmart greeter. Some people are there because they want something to do,
Right.
and they enjoy being there. But there's a lot of people that are there because they have to be there. They've not planned properly. They don't have enough money for retirement. We can get into, again, another whole conversation about whether or not Social Security is going to be available.
So they've outlived their money.
Or they just haven't prepared. They don't have enough money. So, my services are really about preparing people for the worst case scenario and the best case scenario, and everything in between. You could actually prepare enough and have enough money, but then something catastrophic could happen. You could be injured very poorly, and the cost of rehabilitation or your care could skyrocket to such an extent that your assets start being spent very quickly. So we want to prepare for that scenario. We want to prepare for the worst scenario, which is usually that there's your death. Death of a spouse, death of the major bread earner in your family. So obviously, a lot of times life insurance will come into play with that, wanting to make sure that there are assets there to support that loss of income. And then, of course, your best case scenario, everything goes great. You have a great job, you got the disposable income, you got the house, you got the car, you can travel. You want to retire early, and you're going to live long. Right. So we want to prepare for that as well. So in every instance, financial planning is a very important component of preparing for that. And I know a lot of people have not prepared for a number of reasons, but it's very, very key to your success.
You're making me feel bad.
I don't want to make you feel bad.
Because I'm just being real. I know I'm not as prepared as I need to be. So don't be surprised if the next voice you hear on your phone is mine.
That will be fine.
So let me ask you, what do you hope to have gained as a result of your company being in existence?
The fact that my company's been in existence for 12 years
That speaks
is a
volumes.
major feat, because a lot of small businesses go under very, very quickly.
That's true.
So I'm blessed that my company has been around this long and is growing. We just recently moved to a larger size office, and
Yes.
so we've added on some staff, and we're starting to add on additional services and products. So I'm very, very proud of that. What I hope to gain is I really hope to impact the lives of individuals or business owners on a very personal level. When people can, and I've seen it, during the course of my career, people being able to retire and know that they have enough money, that they're in a good position. Businesses that didn't know how they were going to provide benefits or retirement for their employees, and being able to put those things in place, and then backing that up with good service, because you can't just put it in place and then walk away. So those are things that really make me feel good when I can talk to that business owner or talk to that individual, that couple, and they can say, you know what, you really made a difference. You made a huge impact on me, and because of that, generations behind me are also going to be impacted. And so that's really what I want to leave people with.
Along with the generational impact.
Yes.
I like it.
Yes.
I like it. So for those people watching, where exactly can they find you? Where are you located?
Okay, well, before I tell you where I'm located, can I get my website?
Yes, you
we've
can.
talked a lot about the website.
Yes.
But people may not even know where the website is. So it's easy. It's www.melissallgeorge.com. That's the website. We are located in the Wagon Works building, which is in historic East Point, and it is directly behind the East Point MARTA station. So we're pretty easy to get to. If somebody looks us up on the website, the address is there. GPS is pretty good. It will get you to the back side of the building. So that's where we're located. We're located in East Point, which is, right outside of, it's still part of Atlanta.
Right.
Yeah.
And if you're on MARTA, get off the train and walk across the bridge.
Absolutely.
And when you go down the steps, it's the building on the right.
Yep.
That's it. So what's your phone number to your company? I mean, everybody doesn't have a computer at home to go online. And some people like to do things the old way and just call you. So what's your phone number?
Okay, well, our office number is 678-973-0520.
Okay, say that one more time.
678-973-0520.
All right. So, Mrs. Bailey, I'm going to say that I have definitely enjoyed having you here today. You've taught me some things, and I'm going to go back on your website again later today and look at that glossary again, and just see how I think I might be able to. Well, I don't think, I know I can utilize some of your services. So I'm definitely going to check it out. For those of you at home, give her a call or go by the office. It's never too late to start trying to make a change or make a difference and get some things, make it better for yourself. And we can start as soon as today. Start with the little that you have so you can have more later. That's what I'm going to do. So let's try and work together so that we can leave a generational impact on our children and our grandchildren and great-grandchildren. And it can start right here with us today. And you mentioned a lot of families didn't really talk about, finances and things like that. My grandparents raised me, and they never had bank accounts. My grandparents didn't have checking accounts. My grandmother kept stuff under the mattress,
Yes.
or wrapped in some saran wrap, somewhere. She did.
Yes.
So that was her method of saving.
Right.
And so times have changed and things have changed, and we got to make some changes too.
Absolutely.
So thank you so much. Thank you again for being here with us, and you can come back here anytime. When you get
you.
those new services in place, come on back and
Yes.
tell us about those as well.
Well,
Okay?
thank you for having me. I really
No
enjoyed
problem.
it.
No problem. Welcome anytime. So this is all we have for you today. Stay tuned next week. I will be in New York. Yes, I will. Yes, I will. So I won't be here with you guys live next week, but the week after that, I will be back. So stay tuned, and you guys be safe. If you're on spring break, have a great week. Be safe out there. Take care of yourselves, and I'll see you when I return. We're out.